Skidding on the racetrack can be a tiresome sport, and no one will blame you for wanting to take a quick snooze in the midst of explosions, lightning strikes, and turtle shells zipping all over the place. It is by that reason that it is in our best interest to determine which track in Mario Kart Double Dash is the best place to sleep on. I will determine which track is best solely based on factors such as how comfy the track is, how suitable the temperature is for napping, and how dangerous the track is in general. With all that being said, let's snooze right away. Starting with the first track, Luigi Circuit. This seemingly peaceful track is decorated in the likeness of Luigi, which is plastered with his glorious mug. The entire place is divided into two sections for a racer to loop around. There really should be a wall to divide because those falling behind can easily be attacked by players in first place out of spite. Although the temperatures seem to be mild with not a dark cloud in sight, there are a couple chain chomps roaming around and the very presence will make anyone uncomfortable, as they can eventually break free from the chain stake and chomp freely at anyone they encounter. Plus, there doesn't seem to be too many places to take a nap without having to worry about being hit by items flying all over the place, as everything seems very compact. It seems okay, but there are too many situations that will pose a threat to the sleeper. Next is the Relaxing Resort, who I assume is Peach's personal place of relaxation she established for her Toads and other guests to visit, known as Peach Beach. The track takes place primarily on the beach itself, with paths splitting as the tides come in and out. It is important to note that the entire beach is riddled with cataquacks looking to rudely shove people high into the air for their own amusement. If you don't feel like taking a trip to the skies, then I will recommend staying on the main road itself and admire the view of the fountain and buildings. But since this track is closed off, entering the buildings themselves is completely off limits. And who's to say that the cataquacks will walk over to the main roadside and launch anyone trying to catch a nap? I wouldn't be able to sleep due to paranoia. Plus, it will be kinda noisy since it's a beach and supposed to be loud with people yelling and the waves crashing and whatnot, so it wouldn't be the most ideal place to sleep. Next is Baby Park, aka the most chaotic amusement park known to man. This is probably the worst place to take a nap because, number 1, it is really freaking loud since, it's an amusement park. Number 2, it is an absolute battlefield since there are items flying left and right, and impossible not to get hit once. And number 3, it is a giant oval with no rest spots in sight. It's a great place to race due to the unpredictable nature of the track, but a horrible place to catch some Z's. This is one of my favorite Mario Kart tracks of all time, and is always so funny to play online, where it is a massive and chaotic mess in general. Next is Dry Desert. In this desolate wasteland with the temperatures averaging in the high 90s and 100s, I would say this is not the most ideal place to take a nap for a variety of reasons. One being the most obvious, which is the scorching heat, and you're bound to get a wicked sunburn quickly. There are giant pokies roaming around and a huge twister that can send you to a random place on the deserts. There's also a giant quicksand pit with some kind of monster living underneath. This place is overall not a place you will want to visit as there are so many dangerous spots to avoid. I have no clue why anyone other than archaeologists would want to come here, but to each their own. Next is Mushroom Bridge. This is perhaps one of the busiest tracks in the game as there are a myriad of cars, buses, and explosive cars driving around, all trying to get to the destinations quickly. There's a giant bridge that is the main focal point of the track itself, and you can choose to drive on the very edge of it to get a speed boost. This place is very hectic, but it has always been one of my favorite tracks because it shows signs of life, as there are many people driving around. Stuff like that adds to the novelty of the game for some reason, and I find it really charming. Still, I would not want to sleep here unless you enjoy getting honked at and getting run over by reckless drivers. Stay safe out there. Next is Mario Circuit. Similar to Luigi Circuit, this is a closed track that has a bunch of iconic Mario series staple enemies like piranha plants, Goombas, and chain chomps littering the track. Unfortunately, that also means this place is very unsafe to sleep on, as any of them can approach sleepers at any given time. Not to mention this place looks uncomfortable to sleep on anyways, because of the hot pavements, dusty grounds, and grassy fields that are surrounded by enemies. I've always liked how Mario-esque this track is, and how captured the vibe of the franchise is famous for, but I still want to sleep here. Next is Daisy Cruiser. This in my opinion is one of the coolest and creative tracks in the game because of how novel of a concept it is. You're essentially driving inside of a giant cruise ship that has their own cabins, hallways, and swimming pool and other storage rooms to explore, which is neat. The best part is that since it's a cruise ship, there are bound to be numerous rooms to sleep in properly and catch some Z's, if you're not seasick that is. This is one of those tracks that breaks away from the typical track layout where it is meant to be driven on, and instead made it whimsy and unique, such as a giant ship. Overall, this track is a very strong contender for being the best track to sleep on. Next is Waluigi Stadium. This Excite Bike inspired track is filled to the brim with all sorts of dust and bacteria laying around, It seems pretty dangerous as there are fiery hoops circling the place, and loads of items and stuff roaming around. It is not an ideal place to nap as it's a giant stadium with thousands of people watching from the stands, so it'll be really noisy too. The track itself is pretty bumpy, and would not make a good place to sleep. Next is Sherpet Lands. In this self-freezing wonderland, it is pretty easy to get hypothermia here if you're not bundled up properly. There are also giant shy guys gracefully skating on the ice having a good time. Since everything's frosty, you need to be mindful of the frozen waters and giant freezies littering the track, as they will freeze anyone they come in contact with. Keeping these in mind, I think it's safe to say sleeping here is a death wish, since you won't be able to last long upon doing so, but I admit it will be pretty nice to visit as a vacation. Next is Mushroom City, just like Mushroom Bridge, except this place is even more busy. I mean, it is a city after all. There are numerous cars, taxis, and buses driving around who are trying to get home after a long day at work, and some are looking to take the edge off by going to their favorite bars or restaurants to hang out. This place is always bustling with city energy, and I like the nighttime vibe of it all. Probably the worst place to sleep though, because of the unsanitary city streets, the noise from the cars, and the fact that you need money to sleep in the hotels which are pretty expensive. However, the concept of driving through the city was always cool and fits the vibe of Double Dash nicely. Next is Yoshi Circuit, Yoshi's very own circuit that is in the shape of the lovable Dino himself. This entire track is paved with hot concrete, and you're bound to get run over at some point if you choose to sleep here. Not to mention the deadly piranha plants nearby, and the lack of railings in some areas, which makes people susceptible to falling into the water outside. I also like how this track is connected to Daisy Cruiser, as you can see it in the distance. I like when tracks are interconnected like that. This place is nice to take a walk on or go for a drive, but I say it's not a suitable place to take a nap, as there are much more better places to sleep. Next is DK Mountain. The harsh and humid climate of the dense jungle will make anyone sweat and uncomfortable. There are probably loads of unknown insects and animals discreetly hiding within the trees, just waiting to pounce on the next victim. There's a giant barrel cannon that shoots you onto the volcano nearby, that has tumbling rocks and such, and a giant rickety bridge that can't be safe at all. This place just screams dangerous as there are practically no railings, and you can easily fall off the mountain if you're not careful. It's hard enough to survive awake, let alone trying to survive while taking a nap. That being said, don't sleep for your sake. Next is Wario Coliseum. This massive stadium is owned by Wario, which is impressive and not surprising in the slightest, considering how rich Wario actually is. This place is a big marathon from start to finish and takes a while to actually finish. There are so many loop-de-loops and turns that will make anyone dizzy. It's also entirely metallic, so I assume sleeping here will feel as hard as a rock, and not ideal. It's also really dangerous as the entire track is built over a bottomless abyss, with no signs of showing what is down there exactly. I would not come here at all, let alone sleep. Next is Dino Jungle. Similar to DK Jungle, this place is probably even more dangerous because of the dinosaurs roaming about, and can easily crush you due to the tantalizing size. There's also a big wooden bridge built over a lake, and a giant cave with geysers inside. Needless to say, sleeping in this dense jungle will not be safe for anyone for obvious reasons. Next is Bowser's Castle. Need I say more? This has major final boss fights because it is one of the many castles owned by Bowser. This dark and gloomy fortress is riddled with thwomps, lava, and other hazardous things that would drive anyone away. This place is filled to the brim with dangers and deemed a battlefield. Forget trying to sleep here, it's certainly not meant to be unless you enjoy having toasty buns. Then by all means, take all the time you need in this wasteland. Lastly is Rainbow Road. Taking place way up in the sky, this iconic road comprises of rainbows is a mystical land that defies all physics. Loaded with colors and hazards, it is really easy to fall off and plummet onto the earth. There's also a giant teleporter thing that launches you all the way up with lightning speed. I always like how there's a bunch of rainbow versions of items floating in the sky, and how you can see the entirety of Mushroom City underneath. It's the attention to detail that I love the most about these games. Well, to determine which track is the best to sleep in out of all in the game, I would say Daisy Cruiser because of the relaxing vibes of the track, the fact that it has a multitude of rooms to sleep in, complete with a swimming pool and dining area. It is easily the perfect place to enjoy a nap compared to the others like Bowser's Castle and Dry Deserts. With all that being said, thank you for watching. Which track do you think is the best to sleep on? And please like and subscribe for more videos like these if you want to.